Okay, so welcome back to the Crown of Command Games. Today I've got a very special guest again. It's Mel Bose from the Terrain Essentials book that he wrote alongside with Dave Taylor Miniatures. And I invited Mel on to say, let's look at your book.
Well, good to be glad to be here, buddy. It's a hefty tome, 192 pages, 90,000 words, 550 step-by-step photos. Yeah, when we actually wrote it, or when I wrote it, should I say, it was actually 160,000 words I put into it.
Wow.
And I think we took close to about 3,000 photos, which is an absolute beast of a book. Where to start? What to say about the book? I suppose that the first thing is a bit of an introduction about why it came about and how it came about and that sort of stuff. And it came about, well, I mean, it came about because Dave Taylor, got me to do a book. But the actual concept behind the book was I'd got a lot of videos on my channel. Yeah, I think about 500 at that point, and on all sorts of terrain making things and stuff like that. And so the idea was that what we'd do is we'd pull all the videos together and we'd make an essentials and I'd draw a line in the sand. And so when new people come into the channel, instead of saying, hey, if you want to get into terrain, here's 500 videos for you to watch. Yeah. It was like many of the videos which were rambly. You know how I do my videos. I throw things at the wall. I see what sticks. So if you're coming completely new to the hobby, yeah, and looking to get in, it's actually a long learning curve. I mean, if you're already in and you're already on the channel, then, as videos come out per week, it's entertainment. But as a learning resource, it's actually a lot more challenging. And so the idea behind Terrain Essentials for me was to basically go along and take all what I thought was the information, the essential information about terrain building, and dump it into one clear tome, cut out all the the whatchamacallits, the dodgy camera angles, and just provide a nice, clear sort of, guide that I could say, hey, if you're new to the channel, here, this is everything so far. This is what we're building on. You know what I mean? And in that sense, the book actually does mirror the channel, because if you look at the book and you look at the actual sections in the book, you'll find they actually mirror my playlists. So I have a playlist for water and snow. I have a playlist for buildings. I have a playlist for groundwork and greenery and trees, and so the actual book follows those sections. Yeah, because when I came to actually working out what needs to be in the book, I very much went along that line, and it was like, right, let's have a look at my playlist. Look, what have I actually covered? Because I mean, when it comes to actually deciding what you want to put in a book, you don't really actually think about it until it's time to come up with a list of what needs to go in the book. And then all you suddenly go from this idea of, yeah, I've got loads of ideas of what needs to go into the book, of like, actually, what does need to go in the book? Yeah. And then it became sort of a bit of a thought exercise of what is actually essential. Yeah. When you've got 1,000 words, yeah, per page, and every big picture on that page takes 500 words or 400 words off that total. Yeah, and every medium page takes 2, and every medium picture takes 2. And every tiny little step-by-step picture, that's 100 words. Yeah, and you've got to describe not just the technique, but how to do the technique, how to troubleshoot it. The whole thing became this sort of exercise in like, right, what's essential? What do they need to know? And is there the information in the book to make it useful? So when it came to actually writing the book, it's a very practical book. Okay, we don't go on long winding tours of 300 different ways of telling you stuff. We go in, we deal with it in sections, and in every section, there's something to learn. I'm trying to teach you something. Yeah, the other way we approach it is when it comes to techniques for things, we approach it on the basis of, right, I will illustrate a technique and I'll talk you through it and I'll give you step by step. I'll then describe a few other techniques, and I'll give you enough information that even though they're not illustrated, you can still do them. But I took the process of, unless I could describe how you do it and give you enough information on how to do it, then don't mention it at all. So if a technique's mentioned in the book, yeah, it's mentioned with enough information that you can actually use it. It might not be illustrated, yeah, but what the book doesn't do is it doesn't go, oh, you can do it with this, and just give you a vague sentence, leaving you with no information. If it says it does, you can do it with this, there'll be a short paragraph saying, here's this, here's why you do this, here's why you do this, just to fill the information in. Yeah, and you got to remember, with all this sort of stuff, if it's in text in the book, it's on video on the channel somewhere. So just go to the section playlist, you know what I mean, and have a look. And if you're struggling, there's something there. But the book was done on a very, very, what you call it, sort of make it useful. And on that, there's a lot of other little tricks in the book that I did, such as the actual pieces I made. No single piece is the same when it comes to color painting and flocking and what was done with it, because every single piece that was made for the book was done to be a separate illustration of a technique. So instead of like, oh, all these rocks have been painted the same way, every single rock has been painted a different way. But on top of that, all the groundwork for all the rock pieces has been done a different way as well. So as you flick through the book, every picture is a new source of information. Yeah, so it's an incredibly practical book. It's one of these that you look at it, you have a flick through, and then you suddenly realize that actually I need to read this. And then it becomes something that you think, yeah, I know this, until you actually start getting into it and realizing that actually, no, there's this section, there's this section. You know what I mean? And it becomes one of those very well-read books, if you know what I mean. Now, when it came to actually deciding what went into the book, it's a little bit controversial, to be perfectly honest. And that's because I have the largest planning section and the largest materials section and the largest section on the most basic techniques. Okay. And everyone thinks, well, why? Yeah, why did you take that approach? And I took that approach because it's completely different to every other terrain book. Yeah, about a third of the of the actual book is taken up with the most basic of information. Yeah, and that's because over the sort of, at the time of writing the book, over the 7 years I'd been the terrain tutor. Yeah, I wasn't the terrain maker. I was the terrain tutor. People came to me for help. No one came to me for help for what color of flock should I use, or what color brown should I paint the ground. It was always, what tool do I use? What glue do I use? What paint do I use? And the fact is, there is no terrain making tool or materials range. Yeah, all our tools, all our paints come from a whole different host. I go from wargaming paints to arts and crafts paints to house paints. Now, if you've never made terrain before, yeah, how do you know what sticks to what? I mean, I've seen things base coated in acrylics, in artist acrylics, and they shine because the pigment is so high. You know, I've seen people burn through 20 pounds worth of brown on model paint because they didn't realize they can use thin down arts and crafts or a £1 tester pot of wall paint. Yeah. And then if you look at the tools, I mean, if you actually look at the tools that we use and the different materials, we go from painting to sculpting to cutting. We do woodwork, we do clay work, we do resin work. Yeah, we're airbrushing, we're spraying, we're dry brushing, we're blending foam with, you know, the tool rack for that is immense. And each of those tool sets comes from that particular hobby. I mean, there's a little tool called a balsa stripper. It's a little plastic thing with a guide and a blade on that allows you to adjust it and then to cut little beams of balsa from big sheets of balsa. Yeah. I didn't discover that until 22 years into my terrain making journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Up until then, I'd been using a steel ruler and a freehand blade. And I never realized there was a simple tool that just made it quick. So the tools and materials section, which is 16,000 words over 32 pages. Yeah, I think it was when I wrote it. I don't know if Dave saved a bit, but there's definitely 16,000 words in it. That was all written to give everyone completely new a complete overview. Here's everything. Yeah. And the actual tools and materials section was written with the concept of these are the essentials that you need, the few essentials, but you need these. Yeah. These are your commons and these are your rares. Yeah. So everyone who came to it could immediately see what their starting tool set was, because you wouldn't believe how many times I've been asked, what do I need? Right, here's what you need. A couple of brushes, a couple of steel rulers, a couple of cutters, you're off. But there's a massive amount of tools. I've got a room full of them. Yeah, same with the materials. So although controversial, yeah, it's actually about making damn sure that right from the off, you're spending your money on what you actually need. You know what things are used for. Yeah. And you can build your collection up appropriately. And you're using the right glue for the right project. Yeah, you're using the right paint. You know when you're going into a shop what you're looking to buy, or you know where the free sources of these things are. Yeah, because there's all the tips saying, hey, you can get this from such and such, or don't buy the professional stuff, go here.
I think we've given the viewers a nice taster of what the book's about and your wonderful sort of insights into creating the book. Now it's up for them to go and buy the book. So where would they buy the book, Mel? Where's the best place to grab a copy of the Terrain Essentials?
Well, the very best place is from your local bricks and mortar gaming store. You know, go in. The international distributor is Warlord Games, or if you're in the US, I believe Ironheart Artisans have it, or I believe Alliance may distribute it. Yeah, but if you contact Warlord Games or get your FLGS, yeah, to contact Warlord Games, they can get it in for you. Or alternatively, you can go online and you can get it from Warlord Games. Yeah, and they ship worldwide. If you are in the US, then Ironheart Artisans do have it, and they also sell the PDF version. Yeah, so if you don't fancy the physical copy or the physical shipping is too much, yeah, because of your geographic location, yeah, or perhaps your posting or something like that makes mail difficult and you want to get your hands on it while you're on a deployment or something like that. Yeah, because I know we get a lot of watch service people sort of watching these podcasts. Ironheart Artisans do have PDF copies. So you can jump on and literally you can have it in the next 5 minutes in your hands if you really want it that way. Yeah. But physical copies, grab it from Warlord Games or from your friendly local gaming store.
Awesome, mate. Okay, so well, Mel's told you how to get it, so now it's just up to you to go and grab a copy, sort of thing. So thank you again, Mel, for your time today, and I really appreciate your wealth of knowledge, mate, on the book.
It's been a pleasure, mate.